Today at 11:11 p.m. on July 14th, Archangel Michael says you must choose. Two paths lie ahead. Only one leads to freedom. Another leads to open now. Tonight, at exactly 11:11 p.m. on July 14th, something sacred happens. The veil that separates the natural from the supernatural thins, and Archangel Michael steps forward with a warning drenched in divine urgency. This isn't a time to scroll or second guess. This is a time to listen, to discern, and to obey. You've been marked, watched, and followed, both by heaven and by something else. And now, the moment you subconsciously felt approaching is here. This message will not repeat. This opportunity will not linger. Two spiritual doors are opening. One leads to your highest freedom, the kind that breaks generational bondage, severs silent old ties, and leads to peace you've never known. But the other, it's disguise. It's the easy path, the one paved with old comforts, toxic ties, and decisions you keep making out of fear, not faith. Archangel Michael isn't giving you both paths as a suggestion. He's giving you one final window to choose before the cost becomes permanent. If you ignore this, heaven will not interfere next time. This is your last alert before a silent consequence locks in. Understand this. July 14th was written into your spiritual timeline long before you were born. 11:11 isn't just a number. It's a divine timestamp. The angels are lining up. Your name is being called in heavenly circles. The spiritual courtroom is in session, and your soul's path is being weighed. That's why you've been feeling off lately. The dreams, the interruptions, a sense of someone watching, the delays that make no sense. This isn't your imagination. It's divine setup disguised as disruption. You must choose. Not tomorrow. Not when it feels right. But now. Before 11:11 strikes tonight, Archangel Michael needs you to know the truth, because what you think is harmless might be holding your future hostage. This message is not for everyone, but if you're still here, if these words are piercing something deep in your chest, then it's for you. Don't deny it. Don't pretend you're okay with where things are. You know you're not. This moment is sacred. It will never repeat in this exact way again. The spiritual shift coming tonight is one of the rarest alignments of light and warfare, and only those awake in soul and surrendered in spirit will hear the real message underneath. These words. Archangel Michael says you're either walking toward the chains that bound your mother or breaking them once and for all. The next part will begin with the first decision you made that opened one of these doors, knowingly or unknowingly. You didn't realize it then, but the first door opened when you said yes to something your spirit said no to. It wasn't loud. It wasn't evil in appearance. It came cloaked in charm, comfort, and convenience. That decision felt small at first, a relationship you stayed in too long, a deal you made knowing it compromised your peace, or a secret you kept because silence seemed easier than truth. And in that moment, a seed was planted. The wrong door cracked open, not by accident, but by your agreement. Spiritually, your consent gave permission for interference. What followed was so growing. You noticed your peace diminishing. Things that once brought clarity suddenly made you anxious. Your sleep changed. Your intuition got cloudy. And the worst part, you blamed yourself. You thought, maybe I'm just being sensitive, or maybe I'm the problem. But Archangel Michael is revealing now, it wasn't you. It was a spiritual distortion that entered through that first door, and ever since then, it's been guiding your choices subtly, feeding off your doubts, multiplying your confusion. Type I am rising to get the blessing 7234. This force didn't come to kill you quickly. It came to keep you stuck. That's more dangerous. Because if it killed your spirit instantly, you'd know it was a threat. But it disguised itself in routine and emotional cycles, in people who look like they care but whose spirits carry sabotage. Archangel Michael has watched long enough, and now he's stepping in, not to punish but to disrupt. He's slamming that door tonight, but only if you let him. You have to make the choice. Your silence can no longer serve the very spirit that's been draining you. The enemy thrives in your indecision. Every time you say, "I'll deal with it later," he digs deeper. Every time you numb yourself with distractions or pretend that gut feeling was paranoia, the wrong door widens. And now, two paths stretch ahead, one marked with obedience and unknown breakthrough, the other littered with familiar delays dressed in false peace. Archangel Michael is not offering a gentle nudge. He's issuing a command: choose freedom. Not comfort, not delay, not fear. Freedom. You were born for this very moment. Not everyone is called to this choice, but you are. Type I am anointed to get blessing 8460. You might ask, why me? Why now? Because the generational tie ends with you. What your mother ignored, you've identified. What your father tolerated, you now resist. But resistance isn't enough. You must reverse it. You have to revoke access. That old door opened quietly, but it can only close through vocal authority. Speak it. Declare it. Don't whisper freedom, demand it. And the angels will respond. Your lineage is watching. Heaven is recording. And Archangel Michael is standing sword drawn, ready to strike what's been hiding in plain sight. The longer you wait, the more disguised the wrong door becomes. It will begin to minute the path of light, offering almost answers, almost peace, almost purpose. But you didn't come this far for almost. You came for full deliverance. That's why tonight, at exactly 11:11 p.m., Archangel Michael will call your name again. And when he does, your spirit must be ready to say yes to heaven's route, no matter how uncertain it looks on the surface. Trust the voice that's been warning you in silence. Type I accept the divine shift to get blessing 6627. Have you noticed how every time you decide to break free, something interrupts you? A call from the past, a wave of sadness, an urgent task. That's not coincidence. It's spiritual warfare disguised as convenience. The enemy of your soul doesn't always come swinging swords. Sometimes he comes in detours that make you forget your direction. Delays are one of the enemy's deadliest weapons because they don't feel like destruction. They feel like life just happening. But Archangel Michael sees what you've been missing. Behind every delay, something darker is anchoring your future to the past. When you said you were going to heal, your ex reached out. When you tried to fast, chaos erupted at work. When you prayed for clarity, confusion came louder. These are not random. These are coordinated. Archangel Michael says, every time you got close to light, darkness multiplied the noise. The pattern is real. The reason things seem to collapse the moment you commit to rising is because something knows your elevation breaks its hold. Your growth is spiritual eviction, and the enemy is desperate to keep his name on the lease of your future. Type I am rising to get the blessing 5182. Delays make you question your own discernment. You begin asking, maybe I'm rutting. Maybe this isn't the right time. But pause, whose voice is that? Archangel Michael says heaven's voice will always call you forward, even through fear. Confusion is not divine. Clarity may scare you, but it always aligns you. You've been taught to tolerate delay as wisdom, but discern this. Some delays are not from God. They are spiritual tactics meant to wear down your urgency, meant to turn your emergency into apathy. And that's how destiny gets delayed for decades. The delay is a substitute for destruction. If the enemy can't destroy you, he'll make sure you waste enough time that your legacy dies before it lives. This is why tonight matters. At 11:11 p.m., that spiritual gate will not only open, it will seal whatever direction you're walking in. If you choose indecision, it's still a choice, and heaven will beg. Archangel Michael will not force. He only reveals. You are standing between the remnants of a false path and the revelation of your true one. Don't mistake delay for divine timing. Test the spirit behind it. Type I am chosen to get blessing 7349. When people try to manipulate your emotions at your breakthrough point, that's not personal. It's spiritual interference. These people are being used unknowingly to trigger your old patterns. Archangel Michael says the delays are familiar because the enemy is repetitive, not creative. He uses the same script, same people, same patterns. The only thing that must change is your response. Delay only works when you pause. But if you push past it, doors begin to shatter. You were never meant to crawl through life. You were built to break through the atmosphere of delay and command your next dimension. Now is not the time to wait for signs. You are the sign. Your awakening is proof that the chains are afraid. That delay you thought was just life, getting busy. It was hell stalling your deliverance. Don't underestimate what's happening around you spiritually. Tonight at 11:11, time bends. Realities shift. Your obedience activates divine retaliation against everything that's been wasting your time. The delay ends where your decision begins. Are you ready to make it? If this message speaks to your heart and you'd like to support our work, consider leaving a super thanks. Your contribution, up to $20, helps us continue creating meaningful and impactful content. You can also support us through PayPal by clicking the Support Here link in the video description. Every donation, big or small, fuels our mission to keep sharing powerful messages with you. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel for ongoing prophetic insight, spiritual guidance, and messages that help you stay in sync with heaven's rhythm. Type I'm stepping into divine momentum to get blessing 6213. The greatest deception is not the darkness that announces itself, but the one that dresses up like light. The counterfeit path doesn't come with red flags and alarm bells. It comes with comfort, validation, and timing that feels just right. You met people who seemed like answers, opportunities that looked divine, paths that felt aligned. But now, looking back, you see the fruit: confusion, delay, soul fatigue. Archangel Michael says the enemy sends counterfeits not to scare you, but to distract you. Because what distracts you long enough will eventually detour you. You thought it was alignment. You thought it was confirmation. But it only confirmed your trauma, not your transformation. That job, that connection, that place, it mirrored your old self, not your higher self. Archangel Michael has been watching you trust doors that didn't require discernment, only desperation. And that's how the counterfeit path survives. It appeals to the brokenness you never addressed. That's why it felt like love. That's why it felt like ease. But deep down, your spirit stayed restless. Type I'm rising to get the blessing 5581. The counterfeit path isn't always a person. It's a mindset. It tells you stay where it's safe. Don't push too hard. Don't trust the nudge. Settle. And for a while, you obeyed. Not because you were weak, but because you were weary. But Archangel Michael is here to reignite what the counterfeit tried to numb. Your divine dissatisfaction. That uncomfortable feeling you had lately. That urge to break out of routine. That's heaven whispering, this isn't it. You're bigger than the room you're in. And the longer you stay, the more you shrink. The light of the counterfeit is dim. It flickers when pressure comes. It disappears when you need clarity most. But real divine direction, it withstands delay. It confronts confusion. It expands your vision instead of shrinking your confidence. Tonight at 11:11 p.m., you must discern which light you're walking toward. Archangel Michael will not bless what heaven didn't send. He's not sent to protect your preferences. He's here to protect your purpose, even if that means tearing down a path you spent years walking. Type I am anointed to get blessing 6872. Don't mourn what God removes. The counterfeit might have felt familiar, but it wasn't true. Truth doesn't just feel good. It frees you. And freedom always comes with a price. Discomfort. Surrender. Letting go of what looks right to receive what is right. Tonight, if you choose the true path, some people will fall away. Some opportunities will collapse. Some doors will close so fast it will feel violent. But don't panic. That's heaven cleansing your atmosphere for what's coming. Trust the collapse. It's not punishment. It's prophecy. Archangel Michael says, you cannot carry Egypt into the promised land. That counterfeit was your Egypt. It sustained you when you were in survival. But now you're stepping into freedom, and survival mindsets can't come with you. Release the path that mirrored your pain, and step into the one that mirrors your purpose. Heaven doesn't want the edited version of you. It wants the one who remembers why she was called in the first place. This is your redirection. Type I choose divine truth to get blessing 9105. Some of the people closest to you are only assigned to the version of you that survive it, not the version that will rise. This is why certain conversations feel hollow now. Why their presence no longer feels safe. You're not imagining the tension. It's spiritual dissonance. When your spirit begins to elevate, relationships built on your lower self begin to crack. Archangel Michael says, you've been begging some people to understand a path. They were never permitted to walk with you. Not because they're evil, but because their access to you was only for a season, not for destiny. You kept them out of loyalty. You lowered your light so they'd stay comfortable. But heaven doesn't promote attachments, it promotes alignment. Some were friends in your storm, but now your forecast is shifting. They can't handle your sunshine. And because of that, they'll try to keep you in the mindset they met you in. They'll remind you of your mistakes, downplay your breakthroughs, and call your growth pride. But don't be fooled. This is not correction, it's control. Type I am rising to get the blessing 6333. Letting go doesn't mean dishonor. It means discernment. Archangel Michael is showing you how to release with grace. This isn't about revenge. It's about removal. Some people cannot breathe at the altitude you're climbing toward. You've been feeling the pull to separate, but guilt held you back. That guilt isn't yours. It's a spiritual manipulation designed to delay your detachment. You're not breaking hearts. You're breaking spiritual cycles. And once you do, peace will return to places that have felt tight, tense, and emotionally unsafe. Your next season doesn't require mass approval. It requires obedience. Here's a divine loneliness that comes before alignment, and you're in it right now. Heaven is recalibrating your circle. It's not punishment. It's preparation. At 11:11 p.m. tonight, the shift won't just be spiritual, it will be relational. Some calls will stop. Some texts will go unanswered. Some alliances will dissolve. Don't chase closure. Don't beg for mutual understanding. Archangel Michael says the only approval you need is stamped in heaven, not whispered on earth. Type I am anointed to get blessing 7220. You cannot walk two paths, one for them, one for you. You cannot build a throne while staying loyal to those who only saw you as a servant. This is the moment to release every relationship that shrinks you. If you keep asking yourself, why does this connection feel heavier now? It's because the season is over. Their energy no longer matches your mission. You were never meant to carry them, only to walk with them, and only for a while. The journey now requires likeness, not loyalty to the weight. When Archangel Michael steps in, he doesn't explain. He shifts. He separates. He severs. You may feel the sting tonight, but it will be followed by a supernatural release. You'll feel air return to your lungs. Clarity will pierce through confusion. And peace, the kind you haven't felt in months, will wash over your spirit. Let him separate what's been limiting you. Let him guard your future from the familiar. Freedom is found in the letting go. Type I release what no longer aligns to get blessing 8884. The most dangerous prisons don't have bars. They have routines. Familiar places. Predictable cycles. The same emotions on repeat. You call it comfort, but heaven calls it captivity. Archangel Michael says, many are trapped not by demons, but by decisions that became habits. You stayed because it was stable. You tolerated it because at least you understood it. But comfort isn't always confirmation from heaven. Sometimes it's just a well-decorated cage. And tonight, that cage is being shaken, violently. Not to scare you, awake you. You prayed for clarity, but clarity requires courage. You wanted peace, but peace isn't the absence of pain. It's the reward of obedience. God never promised the easy path would lead to elevation. He promised that obedience would lead to truth. And the truth is, your comfort zone is killing your calling. Slowly, softly, without alarm. You keep wondering why everything feels off when nothing has changed. That's the problem. Nothing has changed. Type I am rising to get the blessing 6911. The enemy doesn't mind you going to church. He doesn't care if you read scripture or quote affirmations, as long as you stay in the same place spiritually. As long as you never act, never speak, never shift, never leave. Archangel Michael warns, the longer you stay in comfort, the harder it becomes to recognize captivity. The walls begin to look like home. The silence begins to feel safe. The compromise begins to feel wise. And before you know it, you're living beneath your anointing just to maintain your convenience. Every time you chose not to move because it felt too hard, you unknowingly agreed with limitation. A job you hate but won't leave. That environment that stifles your spirit. A habit that keeps you numb. These aren't small things, they're spiritual agreements. And tonight, those agreements are being revoked. But only if you speak it. Archangel Michael will not drag you from your comfort. He will expose it. And once you see it for what it is, a trap, you are accountable for your choice. Type I'm anointed to get blessing 5550. Freedom doesn't feel free at first. It feels foreign. Your nervous system might panic when you choose the unknown. Your flesh might beg you to turn around. But Archangel Michael says, you're not going backward this time. You've outgrown the place you keep returning to. Your elevation will require exits, and not polite ones. Some doors will close without warning. Some people will be confused. But your obedience will speak louder than your explanations. Don't apologize for breaking out. Apologize to yourself for waiting this long. This isn't just about where you live or who you talk to. It's about what you believe you deserve. Some of you have stayed in small rooms because someone convinced you it was humility. But there's nothing holy about shrinking your power. There's nothing sacred about staying in systems that silence your spirit. Heaven didn't ask you to shrink. Heaven asked you to rise. And tonight, at 11:11, you'll either choose the comfort of yesterday or the calling of forever. Type I step out of my cage to get blessing 8602. You've been asking for destiny, but destiny doesn't come gently. It crashes into your life like a storm, uninvited, unrelenting, and unapologetic. It flips tables, breaks patterns, ends conversations, and leaves you breathless. Archangel Michael says, what feels like chaos right now is actually divine construction. The mess is holy. The collapse is strategic. Don't resist the disruption. It's the sound of your next season being born. Heaven isn't interested in preserving your plans. It's committed to protecting your purpose. That's why everything is shaking. It's not punishment. It's prophecy. You felt it, haven't you? The sudden endings. The unexplainable tension. The unexpected fallout. All of it has been pushing you toward surrender. What you thought was falling apart was actually falling in line. You crying, thinking something was being stolen. But Archangel Michael reveals this truth. Heaven is subtracting what would have suffocated your future. Some blessings only arrive after devastation clears the room. You're not being broken down. You're being recalibrated. Type I'm rising to get the blessing 9055. Disruption is sacred. It's heaven's way of declaring, this can't continue. You've tolerated dysfunction dressed as routine. You've justified emotional chaos because it was predictable. But now, divine interruption is here. It will wreck what's comfortable and confront what's hidden. And the more you resist it, the longer you delay the divine. Archangel Michael says this, if I'm disrupting it, it's because I'm delivering you. You don't need clarity right now. You need courage. You don't need all the answers. You need to obey the alarm. You prayed for new levels, but forgot that new levels come with new shaking. Every time God moves you, He removes something first. The removal isn't rejection, it's protection. That door closing wasn't an attack. That relationship ending wasn't failure. That opportunity lost wasn't missed. It was heaven stepping in before you said yes to something that would have buried your calling. At 11:11 p.m. tonight, the heavens will confirm it with silence. Not noise, not a sign, but a peace that pierces every doubt. Type I'm anointed to get blessing 7907. This is why things can't go back to normal. Destiny demands disruption. The version of you that kept everything together must die for the version of you that walks in freedom to rise. You can't be both the builder and the breaker. One must surrender. And tonight, it's time to let the old structure collapse. It's time to stop patching holes in a boat that was never meant to carry you across this sea. Archangel Michael says, burn the blueprint. God is writing a new one. Some of the most painful endings are actually divine beginnings. Don't resist what's falling. Don't mourn what's being removed. Your alignment is happening through the unexpected. You don't need to fix what's shaking. You need to let it break. The shaking is proof that heaven is near. And if you feel like everything is shifting, it is. On purpose. For purpose. Through purpose. Let it disrupt you. Let it break the cycle. Let it call you higher. If this message speaks to your heart and you'd like to support our work, consider leaving a super thanks. Your contribution, up to $20, helps us continue creating meaningful and impactful content. You can also support us through PayPal by clicking the Support Here link in the video description. Every donation, big or small, fuels our mission to keep sharing powerful messages with you. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel for ongoing prophetic insight, spiritual guidance, and messages that help you stay in sync with heaven's rhythm. I surrender to divine disruption to get blessing 6666. Not every promise is from heaven. Some are designed to trap you. They sound sweet. They speak to your desires. They come with timelines, conditions, even signs, but if they don't lead to peace, they lead to bondage. Archangel Michael says, some promises were crafted by darkness, just believable enough to delay your destiny. A job offer, the text from the past, that dream wrapped in control, all of it came to keep you looking backward while pretending to walk forward. This is how spiritual deception survives, not by lies, but by half-truths. You were promised love, but it came with emotional confusion. You were promised success, but it required silencing your soul. You were promised healing, but only if you stayed quiet about the pain. These weren't promises. They were pacts disguised as blessings. Archangel Michael has watched long enough. Tonight at 11:11, those false agreements must be broken. You didn't sign a contract with your mouth, but with your choices. But now, your next choice can cancel every lie you agreed to in desperation. Type I am rising to get the blessing 7422. Heaven's promises come with peace, not pressure. They won't make you question your worth. They won't need your compromise to stay alive. But the enemy will offer you just enough hope to keep you hanging on. Just enough attention to keep you from walking away. Archangel Michael calls these soul anchors. They seem like direction, but they only drag. Tonight is your moment to cut the rope, to choose truth over the illusion, to walk away from what nearly looked like freedom, but still kept you shackled. Remember, even Eve was offered something that sounded divine. You will be like God, the serpent said, a lie wrapped in a promise. The enemy hasn't changed his methods, only his disguises. He offers relationships, opportunities, timing, platforms, all under the guise of breakthrough. But breakthrough that costs your discernment isn't holy. It's bait. If it lured you with urgency, but now makes you feel empty, it wasn't from the throne. Archangel Michael is exposing it now, not to shame you, but to save you. Type I am anointed to get blessing 8036. It's not your fault that you believe the promise. It's human to hope. It's holy to trust. But now that the veil has lifted, your next move matters. Break the soul tie. End the conversation. Cancel the plan. Delete the message. Walk away with your spirit intact. You don't need their apology. You need your alignment. What was promised to manipulate will now be confronted by your silence. Don't explain your exit. Don't justify your withdrawal. Obedience is louder than defense. Tonight, Archangel Michael says heaven is reversing the curse of false alignment. But you must walk away from the bait. You must grieve the allos, the nearlys, the could have beens. They were never yours. They were sent to keep you busy while your real breakthrough waited in stillness. The false promise came with urgency, but your real promise will come with confirmation, peace, and clarity. Wait for that. Choose that. Align with that. The rest is warfare in disguise. Type I break the false promise to get blessing 6694. You've been asking God for confirmation, but the truth is, you already heard it. Not in thunder, not in visions, but in your own voice, the whisper in your spirit, the quiet resistance in your gut, the unease you kept calling overthinking. Archangel Michael says, heaven has spoken to you 100 times through your own soul, but you've been trained to ignore it. You've learned to silence yourself to keep the peace. You've mistrusted your discernment because others called it drama. But what if your discomfort was direction? What if your ache was divine? Every time you said, "This doesn't feel right," you were hearing heaven. But instead of obeying it, you waited for outside approval. You sought counsel from people who couldn't see your assignment. You waited for signs from people who were never meant to confirm your next season. And in doing so, you made their voice louder than yours. But Archangel Michael says, your voice is sacred. Your knowing is prophetic. Your inner unrest is not weakness. It's warning. Type I am rising to get the blessing 7941. You are not confused. You are being called. That restlessness you feel in rooms you once enjoyed, that's not mood, it's misalignment. That frustration you feel around people you once laughed with, that's not bitterness, it's spiritual separation. Archangel Michael says what you feel is real, and what you sense is sacred. You're not crazy. You're called. But as long as you mistrust your own spirit, you'll keep surrendering to systems that were never built for your freedom. It's time to take your knowing seriously. You've trusted everyone else's voice, mentors, pastors, friends, family, but ignored the one God stitched inside you. That changes now. At 11:11 p.m., heaven is amplifying your internal GPS. The voice that got dimmed by trauma, silenced by religion, buried under people-pleasing, it's returning. And when it returns, you must listen. You must obey. No one will validate it. No one will explain it. It's yours. God speaks through your stillness, your tears, your gut, your body. And He never stopped. Type I'm anointed to get blessing 8444. You keep praying for breakthrough while ignoring the instruction. You ask for peace but tolerate pressure. You cry for healing but stay in places that keep you hurting. The voice of God sounds like your own spirit when you're aligned. And right now, your spirit is screaming, this isn't it. Will you honor that? Or will you once again wait for permission from people who benefit from your silence? Archangel Michael isn't waiting for your circle to understand. He's waiting for you to obey. His path is not easy. It requires trusting what you feel before it makes sense. It demands radical obedience to an inner truth others may never see. But those who walk in obedience to their own God-anchored spirit are the ones who unlock the unseen favor. Tonight, when 11:11 strikes, your voice must rise above the noise. It must echo what heaven has already spoken within. Speak it. Say it aloud. Trust your clarity. Obey your knowing. Type I trust my divine voice to get blessing 9121. Some doors won't open by force. They open through surrender. You've tried everything. Strategy, striving, performance, but nothing has moved the lock. That's because this door doesn't respond to hustle. It responds to honesty. Archangel Michael says, the next level of your life won't come through effort. It will come through release. What you're praying for isn't being delayed by timing. It's being delayed by control. You keep asking heaven to make a way while gripping the wheel. But destiny doesn't drive with passengers who won't let go. You don't need more strength. You need to surrender. Let go of what you think should happen. Let go of the apology that may never come. Let go of the timeline you swore was divine. Surrender isn't giving up. It's giving over. And that moment, the one where your knees hit the floor, where you finally admit I can't do this, that's when heaven invades. That's when the angels move. That's when the impossible bends. Because surrender is the access point to spiritual alignment. Top, I am rising to get the blessing 8,899. You've prayed, fasted, waited, crying. But have you released? Or have you just performed surrender while still planning your own escape? Archangel Michael sees what's hidden beneath the prayers. Fear. Fear that God won't catch you. Fear that you will lose what you love. But real surrender doesn't negotiate. It lets go without needing a backup plan. That's when the divine door opens. Because that's when your will stops interfering with heaven's. Tonight at 11:11, surrender is not optional. It's required. It's the key you've been holding in clenched fists. The reason it hasn't shifted is because your grip hasn't loosened. The promise is real. The path is ready. But your hands are too full of your own plans. Surrender says, even if it looks like loss, I trust it's divine. Surrender says, even if I never understand this moment, I know heaven is still guiding me. This is the kind of posture that opens supernatural doors. Archangel Michael says, this door won't open by pleading. It opens by placing it all, everything, on the altar. Type I am anointed to get blessing 7,782. You thought surrender was weakness. If you let go, it meant defeat. But it's the opposite. Surrender is war in heaven's language. It's you stepping back so angels can step forward. When you finally say, God, have your way, the forces that were resisting you lose jurisdiction. They only had power because your control gave them access. But tonight, that control ends. Your surrender breaks every cycle. It evicts every delay. It silences every voice that told you you had to hold it all together. Your breakthrough isn't waiting for more action. It's waiting for total surrender. Archangel Michael is already in position. The gate is already responding. But the lock turns when your heart bows. Let the tears fall. Let the striving cease. Let the fear dissolve. You are not losing control. You are choosing divine leadership. You are no longer the one holding the key. You are the one stepping into the hands that hold everything. Freedom is on the other side. If this message speaks to your heart and you'd like to support our work, consider leaving a super thanks. Your contribution, up to $20, helps us continue creating meaningful and impactful content. You can also support us through PayPal by clicking the support here link in the video description. Every donation, big or small, fuels our mission to keep sharing powerful messages with you. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel for ongoing prophetic insight, spiritual guidance, and messages that help you stay in sync with heaven's rhythm. Type I surrender fully to divine order to get blessing 6,508. Right before the breakthrough, there's always one final temptation. Something designed to look exactly like what you prayed for, but carrying none of its substance. It comes wrapped in urgency. It appears when you're tired, vulnerable, or craving resolution. Archangel Michael says, every soul faces a final counterfeit before heaven opens the real. This moment is crucial. What shows up right before 11:11 is not always your destiny. It might be a test. And the cost of choosing wrong now: delay, detour, spiritual disconnection dressed as reward. The temptation won't look evil. It will look logical. It will appeal to your impatience. A message from someone who left. A door you closed that suddenly reopens. A deal that seems too perfectly timed. Be alert. This isn't confirmation. It's seduction. And the enemy knows your fatigue. He knows what you miss, what you still long for, what would make you hesitate. This is why your discernment must be louder than your desire. You can't afford to choose what heaven never sent, especially not now. Type I am rising to get the blessing 8193. That voice whispering, it's finally happening, might be true, or it might be premature. Archangel Michael says, if the blessing requires you to betray your intuition, it's not from God. If it brings peace only on the surface but anxiety underneath, it's not from the throne. If it pulls you out of alignment just to give you quick comfort, it's spiritual bait. The final temptation is always designed to give you everything except what matters: alignment, peace, and authority. And once you take it, the climb restarts. But tonight, you won't fall. You've grown. You've learned to see past appearances. You've stopped equating glitter with gold. You can tell when energy feels familiar but not safe. It's your power now. Archangel Michael is standing at your side, warning, this is the last counterfeit before the shift. Be vigilant. Don't trust what's convenient. Trust what your spirit confirms in stillness. The counterfeit always moves fast. The divine moves with gravity. And right now, gravity is pulling you into something higher. If you don't grab what's passing by, type I am anointed to get blessing 9440. Do not negotiate with temptation. Don't answer that message. Don't reopen that door. Don't entertain the illusion. Some of you are being tested with old patterns wearing new clothes. The same spirit, different script. You're wiser now. You don't need closure. You don't need to see how it plays out. You need obedience. And obedience means walking past the counterfeit without needing to explain why. Archangel Michael says this choice defines the next gate. What you say no to now determines what heaven says yes to next. This is your final test before the shift. The enemy is hoping you'll settle. He's hoping you'll confuse the familiar for the divine. But you won't. Not this time. You've seen too much. You felt the price of disobedience. And you're not walking back into old patterns with your eyes open. Not after how far you've come. The final temptation may knock hard, but your spirit is louder. Heaven is watching. And when you reject what looks right in order to choose what is right, everything changes. Type I reject the counterfeit to get blessing 7070. There are moments in the spirit when heaven leans in, when your next action becomes more than personal. It becomes prophetic. Tonight at exactly 11:11 p.m., the heavens will record your decision. This isn't symbolic. It's real. Archangel Michael says, you are standing at a divine fork in time, and both heaven and darkness are watching to see which direction you will step toward. One road leads to a rising you cannot imagine. The other leads to repetition, years of the same cycles in different forms. And this time, there will be no middle ground. Every time you choose obedience, angels write it down. Every time you choose silence over reaction, detachment over drama, surrender over control, it is noted in the spirit. These aren't just moments, they are movements. Spiritual shifts that create ripple effects across generations. Archangel Michael says your choice tonight isn't just for you. It's for your bloodline. It's for the ones who will come after. It's for the younger version of you who begged God for rescue. This is the divine moment your soul has been circling for years. Type I am rising to get the blessing 9733. Tojosa shake agent. Others shake you. This is the ladder. This is the moment when heaven does not speak, but waits. It has already given you the signs, the confirmations, the warnings. Now it's your turn. Archangel Michael isn't standing with his sword drawn to push you. He's guarding the gate while you decide. You've seen what staying does. You've seen what delay costs. Now you must decide, comfort or calling, fear or faith, silence or surrender. And no matter how loud your past screams, the pen is now in your hands. Understand this. At 11:11, it's not about fireworks. It's about alignment. Heaven doesn't always move with spectacle. Sometimes it moves through silence. And if your spirit is quiet enough, you'll feel the shift. Not outside, but within. That calm that overtakes the anxiety. That clarity that silences confusion. That moment when you feel something click into place and realize, this is it. This is your pivot point. You won't be the same after tonight. And you weren't meant to be. Type I am anointed to get blessing 7551. Your destiny hath been waiting for you to choose it. Not by words, but by action. By what you walk away from. By what you say yes to even when it terrifies you. You don't need another prophecy. You need to move. To open your mouth and declare the break. To close your hands around the promise. To step with intention into the direction your soul already knows. Archangel Michael says, this is not just another night. It's a divine time step. It's a judgment point. And what you do will echo beyond today. Heaven is not here to coddle your fears. It's here to confirm your faith. You've been given authority, but authority unused is opportunity wasted. Now is not the time to retreat. Now is the time to rise with fire in your bones and declare, I choose the narrow path. I choose the light. I choose to end what my ancestors endured and walk into the future I was born to carry. And when you do, when you step into that divine yes, the heavens will respond with open gates. Type heaven records my yes to get blessing 6882. The time has come. The moment is here. Heaven is not waiting any longer. The gate is already unlocked, but only the chosen will walk through. Archangel Michael says, the gate responds to alignment, not desire. You may want it. You may even cry for it. But unless your life matches your spirit's awakening, the threshold will not move. You must be both willing and ready. This is not a path for spectators. It's for those who have counted the cost and said yes anyway. The gate doesn't open with noise. It opens with obedience. You've been tested. You've been refined. Everything that led to this moment was preparing you. The silence, the delays, the betrayal, the unanswered prayers, the loss. You were in punishment, it was positioning. Every tear watered the ground you're about to walk on. Every no from man aligned you for yes from heaven. You didn't miss it. You didn't delay it. You've been right on time for this exact hour. And now, as 11:11 approaches, the gate senses your surrender and begins to glow. Type I am rising to get the blessing 9032. Not everyone sees it. Not everyone hears it. Because not everyone was meant to. Archangel Michael says, this moment was reserved for the ones who endured, who wrestled, who did quit even when they felt forgotten. If you're reading this now, it's because your name was on this scroll before time began. The gate is not just an opportunity, it's a divine inheritance. And like all inheritance, it requires maturity to receive. Your spirit is mature enough now. The gate recognizes that. The angels see it. Your light has finally reached the frequency of fulfillment. But crossing the threshold won't look like fireworks. It may look like endings, quiet exits, immediate peace, strange silence, a shift in your emotions. The supernatural is subtle, but sacred. Tonight, don't expect a bang. Expect a knowing. The inner shift will be your confirmation. That sacred moment when you feel like something just snapped into place. The pull, the ache, the weight, it will dissolve. Because once the gate opens for the chosen, no force in hell can keep it shut. Type I am anointed to get blessing 8901. Archangel Michael is standing at the threshold, not to invite, but to witness. He won't drag you through. He won't plead. He will simply stand and watch as you take the step that heaven has waited for. The gate is holy, and only the obedient can cross it. You don't need perfection. You need surrender. You don't need credentials. You need trust. Walk in barefoot if you must. Just walk. This is your moment. This is your divine entrance. Don't look back. Don't hesitate. Don't wait for applause. The gate does not stay open forever. It responds to windows of obedience. And this one, this 1111 gate, is rare. It's not just for elevation. It's for a birth. The version of you who walks through will not look like the one who approached it. Something is about to die, and something greater will rise. When you walk through this gate, old agreements break, timelines shift, angels activate, and everything changes. You're not just being delivered. You're being commissioned. You're being crowned in silence. Type I walk through the divine gate to get blessing 9449. It is done. The message has been delivered. The time has come. No more delay. No more distractions. At exactly 11:11 p.m. tonight, the heavens will mark the moment your soul chose. Archangel Michael no longer whispers. He watches. This was never about fear. It was about alignment. You were brought to this point by divine orchestration. Not by chance. Not by emotion. But by eternal design. The two paths are no longer theoretical. They are real. And one of them now fades into silence while the other leads into holy awakening. You've heard the truth. You felt it in your bones. This wasn't just a message. It was a mirror. A reminder of who you are, and a confrontation with who you were never meant to remain. The old cycle is closing. The lies are breaking. The room you were shrinking in no longer fits your soul. And now, in this very moment, you are standing on sacred ground. Everything that bound you, broke you, betrayed you, or delayed you was only allowed because heaven knew you would choose freedom. You did not come this far to turn back. You didn't survive all that spiritual warfare to settle for silence. You were chosen. You were called. You were born to cross this threshold. And now, as 11:11 chimes, the final scroll of this season rolls open, and your name is etched in divine light. Archangel Michael raises his sword, not to fight for you this time, but to stand beside you as you fight for yourself. You no longer need rescuing. You need only to walk. Close your eyes. Feel it. Breathe. The shift has already begun. It won't come with sirens. It will come with sudden peace. A peace so deep, your body will recognize it before your mind does. That is your confirmation. That is your sign. You've entered. The path you feared is now under your feet, and the weight of yesterday no longer follows you. This is the moment heaven records. You said yes, and your yes will echo for generations. If this message speaks to your heart and you'd like to support our work, consider leaving a super thanks. Your contribution, up to $20, helps us continue creating meaningful and impactful content. You can also support us through PayPal by clicking the support here link in the video description. Every donation, big or small, fuels our mission to keep sharing powerful messages with you. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel for ongoing prophetic insight, spiritual guidance, and messages that help you stay in sync with heaven's rhythm. I have crossed the threshold to get the blessing 9,999.